welcome to your next math video. This video is centering around the quadratic formula. Now, I actually do already have a video on my YouTube channel about this and the discriminant. However, it's from 2020, so maybe it's time to update it. So this video is only going over the quadratic formula, because if you can do the quadratic formula, then you can do the discriminant. So this is just going to go through two quick examples, and these are actually the ones in your notes too. But part of the reason I'm making the video in this format is so you can watch it ahead of time before class. And then when we actually do it in class, like it'll just be like a little bit like you have some background and a little bit of foundation. So here we go. If you're following along with me live, well, not live, but you're practicing with me, you definitely need a calculator. And if you're using this to study for your quiz, you definitely need a calculator. Okay. So you right now know how to solve a quadratic equation using factoring. And that should always be your default, because that's honestly a lot quicker and a lot easier. So what I mean by that, when I'm looking at this quadratic equation, I'm asking myself if it is factorable, meaning, are there two numbers that multiply to a -8 and add up to a -2? And I'm already leaning towards yes. Like, I know that the two factors are going to be 4 and 2. I just need to think about which one's going to be negative. And I know that it's going to be the 4. So that, oh wow, it looks like ketchup and mustard. The heck. So then when I write the two binomials, it's going to look like this, set them equal to 0. And I know at least a lot of my kids are kind of ready. Like, they don't need to solve those one-step equations. They can kind of do it in their head. So your two solutions are going to be 4 and -2. So that equation is factorable. So you can solve it by factoring. You do not need the quadratic formula. Here's an instance when you would need the quadratic formula. Let's say that I was looking at this equation and I'm like, okay, like let's go ahead and let's factor. I need two numbers that multiply to a +5 but add up to a -2. Well, in my head, I know that the only factors of 5 are 1 and 5. It won't work. There's no way, because 1 times 5 is 5, 1 plus 5 is 6. Even if I did -1 times -5, giving you a +5, if I add those together, it gives me a -6. So it is not factorable. You cannot solve it by factoring. That is the time in which you need to use the formula. This is the quadratic formula, okay? Now, I'm going to say it to you out loud, but you have to know that when I'm saying it out loud, I'm actually singing the song in my head, which you'll see in class. So the quadratic formula is x equals -b, when you could really think about it as opposite, plus or minus the square root, b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Yes, you will have to memorize that. We will teach you a song that is going to help you with that. So looking at this quadratic equation, the first thing that you need to do to be able to use the formula is to identify what is A, what is B, and what is C. So if I'm looking at this equation here in the red, A, if there's really no coefficient, you know that it's going to be 1. B will be -2, and then C will be +5. The quadratic formula always looks 100 times more challenging. It's not. It's really not a lot of like mental thought. It's honestly just a lot of computing in your calculator. All right, moving right along. So again, the quadratic equation format is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. These are the three numbers that you need to plug into your formula. You also need to make sure that it is set equal to 0. And I know we talked about that in class too. Here is the quadratic formula. Okay, and if you don't hate me too much, I'm going to kind of sing the song. Scott's going to hear it upstairs. So it's x equals -b plus or minus the square root, b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Oh, God. Hopefully your volume was turned down for that, but it helps you remember it, so deal with it. Okay. So looking at these two equations, the first thing you should ask yourself is, can I factor this? And because right now it has a leading coefficient greater than 1, your answer is no, okay, for the purposes of where we are in algebra right now. So here we are. The first thing we need to do is identify what is A, B, and C. So I know that A is 2, B is -14, and C is 24. Now, the way that I've done it with my kids these past few years is using the erase method. And I know that we've done that a few times in class as well. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start by just writing out the whole formula. I won't sing for you again. Relax. Okay, so x equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Once you have the formula written out, the only thing you have to do is just plug in the values, and it's just kind of a game of just simplifying with your calculator. So the first thing, let's take out negative b. When it says negative b, it really means the opposite of b. So if this equation has it as negative 14, the opposite of that is just positive 14. Okay, so there we go. This part underneath the radical, it's b squared minus 4ac. So I'm going to erase piece by piece. When it says b squared, I know that no matter what number that is, it's going to turn out to be positive because 2 squared would be 2 times 2, which is 4. Negative 2 squared is negative 2 times negative 2, which is also positive 4. So I'm just going to put this in as 14 squared. The main reason why I'm not putting the negative with it, even though it's technically negative 14, whatever, your calculator doesn't register it. So even if you put negative 14 squared, it'll give you a negative number. We don't know why it won't register it. So just leave that positive every single time. All right, then I need to take out this A and this C. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Leave the 4. That's part of the formula. I'm going to go put that back. So you got 4. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then it says A. I know A is 2. C is 24. Yikes. And then on the bottom of the formula, it says 2 times A. So I'm just going to get rid of the A, and then I'm going to plug in 2. Okay. Here's my personal strategy. You can do whatever strategy works best for you, but after teaching this for 9-10 years, this is kind of tried and true. The first thing that I simplify in this whole shebang, I will get all of this to equal one single number, and I do it all in one shot in my calculator. So I'm going to do 14 squared minus 4, open parentheses, 2, close parentheses, open parentheses, 24, close parentheses, enter. And it gives me 4. So again, I'm using the erase method. Actually, you know what? For the purposes of the video, I'll rewrite this for us. So I've got x equals 14 plus or minus the square root of 4. And then let's just simplify this. I know 2 times 2 is 4. Okay. Do you see anything else that's kind of jumping out at you that you can simplify? What do we know the square root of 4 is? Please tell me that you're saying in your head that that is 2. So I'm just going to get rid of this, and I'm going to write that as 2. All right. Now, once you get to this point, you're almost there. You are almost there. Because it says plus or minus, that means that you're going to pretty much be setting up like 2 cases, all right? You're going to set up one case using the plus sign and one case using the minus sign. Here's what it looks like. You'll have 14 plus 2 over 4. And then over here, you'll have 14 minus 2 over 4. And at that, sorry, my TV turned on. At that point, you can kind of like, oh my gosh. At that point, you can probably start to simplify in your head. I know that 14 plus 2 is 16, and 16 divided by 4 is 4. So that's one of my answers. Over here, I know that 14 minus 2 is 12, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. And that's my other answer. And you did it. You just solved a quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. So here's where we started up here. It's really just it's just a lot of simplifying. Okay. It's just a lot of simplifying. I'm going to try and use my head to block my TV. Okay. Let's try another one. Let's try this one over here. I'm going to just erase this a little bit just so it's kind of not coming into the box. Okay, just pretend like this is all gone, okay? All right, so for equation number 2, and I know that this is going to drive some of you guys crazy, leaving all that marks there. I'm sorry. All right, the problem with this one is it is not set equal to 0. It has to start by being set equal to 0. So to move this -6 over, I do the opposite. I add it. So that goes away. So this is really like saying -2x squared plus 9x plus 35 equals 0. That's important because it would affect your C value. So now I know A is -2, B is 9, C is 35. Okay, so I'm going to start by writing out the whole formula. X equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Formula is written. Step 2. Use the erase method and plug in variable by variable. Okay, see now this is actually bothering me as well. I feel it. I feel you guys. It's bothering me too. There. Also, this is a perfect point. If you are still watching this video, on your quiz on quadratic formula, if you put this, a little balloon with a 12 in it on your quiz, it will earn you a prize. So a little balloon with a 12 on it. Make sure I can see it. I'm old, okay? It's no more star 17. It's a balloon with a 12. And don't tell your friends that you guys deserve the credit for watching this review video and taking time out of school to review. Okay, anyways, back to the erase method. Okay, erase this B. Now it says opposite of your B value. So since it's a positive 9, -9 is the opposite. Over here, I'm going to erase B squared. And instead of B, I'm going to put in 9 squared. And then over here, it's minus 4AC. I need to take out the AC and plug in the actual values for that. Here I go. I'll put the 4 back. It's part of the formula. It stays. Okay. And then I know that my A value is -2. And my C value is 35. Down here, if you want to simplify that all in one shot, go for it. 2 times A, 2 times -2, that's -4. Okay, that's the hard part, actually. The next thing that I would personally do is simplify this all into one single value. When kids make mistakes, it's because they push the wrong buttons in their calculators. So just go slow. I'm doing it with you. On my very fancy calculator. And actually, if you didn't know, it has my name engraved in the back. Well, it's Jennifer Crick. That's who I was in high school. Anyways. Okay, so it's 9 squared minus 4, open parentheses, -2. Please make sure you're using the negative button. Close parentheses, open parentheses, 35, close parentheses. And that gives me 361. All right, so I'm going to show you how I would do this as a student and as a teacher. So I'm getting rid of all of this. We simplify that into one single value as 361. My next thing that I would do personally, simplify what is the square root of 361. There might be times in which you get decimals for this, and that's fine. That is totally fine. So I'm going to do second x squared, 361. And actually, it's a nice number. It's 19. Woohoo! I'm sure Scott's rolling his eyes upstairs because I'm woohooing about square roots. So that gave me 19. So I'm going to plug that right into my video. Okay. Once you get to this point, it is time to set up your two cases. All right. So I've got 1. I've got 2. I'll have -9 plus 19 over -4. And I'll have -9 minus 19 and put that over -4. Okay, so let's pretend like I don't know anything in my head. I'm going to do the numerator here first. I'm going to do -9 plus 19. That gives me 10. 10 divided by -4 is -2.5. That is one of my answers, -2.5. For my other case, clear your calculator. -9 minus 19 is negative 28. And then if I wasn't sure, I didn't know things in my head, negative 28 divided by negative 4 is 7. So that is my other answer. So the name of the game with quadratic formula. If you look at an equation and you can factor it and solve it, please do that. It saves you a lot of time. It's much easier. But if you get an equation that is not factorable, you can still solve it. You just have to use the formula. The best thing that you can do is number 1, go slow. Number 2, write out your formula, erase your variables and plug in your values, and go slow. You will have 2 answers when you come down here, and it is very, very likely that they are decimals, okay? You got this. You're in the heart of algebra. Love quadratic formula, and thank you guys for tuning in. Love you always.